Okay, well, you're almost there, guys. Welcome to the progressions phase of our breathing and movements program. This is the final and the hardest bit of the program. Not all exercises will be suitable for everyone. So make sure that you're really familiar with the core connection with the breathing and that you're confident in the exercises and do fewer repetitions if that makes sense for you before moving on. Also, you need to make sure that before trying this progressions phase, you first complete it and feel fully confident in the fundamentals, the preparation, and the moving on phases of this program. You can find those by clicking on the links below. This is the first exercise in the progression phase, so we're moving on and the exercises are slowly becoming a little bit more challenging. We're combining two movements here. We're combining an arm raise and a knee raise at the same time. And all the way through those, we want to keep the stable stance of our body. We want to keep the core, the head, the shoulders, the pelvis, keep all of that still while first the arms move and then the arms and the legs move. Let's start with the arms. So keeping that line running through the center of my body, it's like a mirror image, and I want to keep the body looking the same either side of that line. I just allow my arms to float out to the side, keeping them nice and long and relaxed. And I bring them back down to the side of the body. Breathing out. The arms float up, body stays still. Breathe in, the arms float back down. I'm now going to add in the knee raise. So at the same pace as the arms rise up, my knee rises up. And then as the knee comes down, so do the arms. Breathing out. Knee rises up to 90 degrees. Breathe in, back down to the side. Do this exercise so that you're raising your knee 6 times on each side. The next exercise is the leg drop to one side. The next exercise really challenges our ability to keep the body stable as we're moving weight out to our side. So really focus on looking up to the ceiling, keeping your head still. Keep the shoulders wide and relaxed and still on the mat, and the same goes for your pelvis. This exercise is called leg drop to one side. So remembering all the basics about your lying position, nice and relaxed on the mat, take your attention into your left hip joint, into here. Keeping the right leg really stable, I'm going to allow the left hip joint to relax and slowly, with control, with a bit of core connection as well, I allow that left leg to drop out to the side as I breathe out. I keep the right leg and the pelvis really still. As soon as I start to feel the pelvis rolling to the left to follow the leg, I stop. Breathe in. And breathing out, I bring the leg back to the middle. Breathe in to prepare, keeping the left leg still. Keep this left hip still as well. The right leg opens up to the side. Breathe in to maintain. Breathe out as the leg comes back to the middle. Repeat 6 times on each side. The next exercise is a really good one, very functional, very day-to-day kind of exercise where we're practicing a movement we do hundreds of times every day, which is rising from a chair and sitting back down in a chair. And we're taking the opportunity of sitting up and down to really practice hinging at the hip, keeping the back straight, and exercising your legs at the same time. So I'll demonstrate that from the front first. It's quite helpful if you can to do this exercise with your arms crossed across your chest. That way you won't be tempted to use them to push you up as you rise from the chair. You want to be sitting in a nice hard back chair, sitting in a nice stable position. Feel your sit bones in firm contact with the chair and feel your feet in firm contact with the floor. Your spine is nice and straight, just as it would be in a stable standing position. From here, we'll practice the sitting hip hinge a few times before rising to standing. So you're keeping your back really straight. It's a pure hinge at the hips, just as you would do in a squat movement. You're just hinging, tilting the upper body forwards, and then you tilt back to an upright position. Tilt forwards, your eye line will come down. You'll be looking at the floor, slightly ahead of you. And as you tilt back, you'll notice your eye line rise, so you're looking straight ahead. On the next one, we're going to rise. So I'm going to tilt forwards. When I feel my body weight is really far enough forward, so it's over my thighs, I sort of can't keep hinging anymore at the hips. I push up and I straighten up. I'm now standing in a stable position. Reverse, hinge at the hips, tilt the upper body, knees flex, ankles flex, sit bones make contact with the chair, I straighten up. Once more, tilt forward, push up, hinge back, upper body forward, sit bones back, and I straighten up in the chair. I'll show you from the side as well. Body nice and straight, but relaxed. You're looking straight ahead. Tilt forward a couple of times. As you do so, keep your body straight. It's just the hip joint that's moving. Everything else follows as a result of that. And on the next one, I'll tilt forward again. And when my weight is sufficiently forward, I'll push up through the thighs, straighten up at the knees, ankles, and hips. And now reverse. Ankle, knees, and hips all flex at the same time. And I'm back in the chair. Start off by doing this 6 to 10 times, but really this is one you can practice many times a day. You can use it as part of your daily living and start rising in and out of chairs in this way without using your arms for support. Right, we're going to do the full squat now. I know you've been looking forward to this. The full squat works your legs. You're building stronger thigh muscles, which is really, really helpful. As you start to get fitter, it enables you to move more safely, to use your thigh muscles and your glutes to carry weight rather than using the abdominals. You really need strong legs if you want to stay fit. This is an important exercise. If you want, you can use weights. I'm using 1 kilo weights. You could use 1 kilo weights. More as you build up. You could start off with a tin of baked beans, or you could just do the arm curls without any weights at all. The important thing is you're doing the squats. Remember, we've done some hip hinges already. We've done some mini squats, calf raise with mini squats, and you're applying all those principles now. You're going to keep your toes and your heels really firmly grounded on the floor, and then you're simply folding at the hips, flexing at the knees and ankles, tilting the upper body forwards. I'll demonstrate. Little curl up, come back to stand. So it's breathing in, I tilt at the hips, upper body tilts forward, chin to chest a little bit, straighten up. Make sure your neck stays nice and long. You're not pulling the head back and not arching in the lower back. I'll demonstrate from the side. Watch out for the back. You want to keep a straight line from your tailbone right to the bottom of the spine, all the way up to your head. That means you need to tilt the upper body forward and probably drop your chin down to your chest a little bit more further than feels natural. Looking down to the floor, looking straight ahead. Start off with 6 to 10 repetitions of that and then build up. This exercise is standing on one leg. We've been building up for it. It's an important exercise. Keeping our balance is very, very important for overall health in many different ways. You start off by making sure you're in a stable stance, both feet really firm on the floor, and feel a sense of length in your body. You want to feel as though your head is being gently pulled up by a string. Your shoulders are gently falling down a little bit, so your neck feels long. You have a little bit of tone in your abdominals. Pick a spot in the middle distance and keep your eyes really gently focused on that spot. Have a chair next to you, so you can reach out and touch that chair if you need to for balance. And then when you're ready, just engage and activate your deep abdominals a tiny bit more and raise your right leg off the floor. So I'm now standing on my left leg and I'm looking at a spot in the middle distance, trying to keep the upper body as still as possible. Bring the right leg down and repeat on the other side. You can start off with 5 to 10 seconds on each side and see if you can build up to around a minute or so on each side. It's a kind of exercise you can do while you're waiting for the kettle to boil or while you're brushing your teeth. This exercise is called the torpedo. It's a good exercise for mobilizing the hip joints, and it also really works the abdominal muscles and the oblique abdominals in particular. Don't try this exercise unless you've really mastered the principles of core connection and breathing, and the breathing as you move. You're lying on your side. Make sure you're lying flat on your side with your hip and shoulder in firm contact with the floor. The front of your body is facing the front. Your forehead, chest and tummy are all facing square to the front. Bottom arm is stretched out long in line with your body, and your legs are stretched out long as well in line with your body. Squeeze your inner thighs together a little bit, like you might have done when we were squeezing the ball in some previous exercises. Squeeze your heels together as well. Lift your bottom waist off the mat so you're quite active in the abdominals already. That's your start position. As you breathe in now, you're going to squeeze the legs together a little bit more, and then together, still squeezed together, you'll raise them up a little bit higher, not too high. Breathing out. The top leg will rise a little bit higher. Breathing in, the bottom leg will come in to meet the top leg. And then as you breathe out, both legs come down together. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in and out. Do this exercise 6 times on each side. Our next exercise is the bridge. This is a reasonably commonplace exercise. You may have seen people do it in all kinds of contexts. It's a very good exercise, in particular for working the back line of the body, all the way up from the calf muscles, through the hamstrings, and in particular your glutes. It's a very simple exercise. You're lying in the lying position on your back, Make sure you've got your alignment all right. You're looking straight up at the ceiling. And in particular, make sure that your feet reasonably close to the body, hip width apart, and very firmly planted on the mat. As you breathe out, you'll just raise the hips straight up. And as you breathe in, the hips come down. Breathe out. Squeeze up through your glutes. Breathe in. You're aiming for a straight line between the chest and your knees, and you're aiming to keep your knees quite close together so that you could squeeze an orange or a cushion between them. Don't let them drift apart. Aim initially for about 10 of these, keeping your form throughout, and then you can build up to 15 or even 20 for one set. Moving on from the bridge, we're going to do toe taps. Toe taps is a real Pilates classic, and it really exercises the lower abdominal muscles. Make sure you've done the single knee raise and you really understand the core connection and the breathing principles before you come on to toe taps. It is an exercise that strengthens the abdominals, but it also needs you to be in control of your abdominals. Focus on the breathing. Take your time. Breathe in to prepare. And as you breathe out, raise the right knee above the right hip, and still breathing out, you're going to raise the left knee. You're now in a double knee fold. As you breathe out, tap down with the right leg. As you breathe in, bring it back to the start position. Breathing out, tap down with the left. Breathe in, bring it back to the start position. I'm moving just from my hip joint with control. I'm keeping the pelvis still, and I'm keeping the shape of the leg, the 90-degree angle at the knee. If you remember back to the core connection, you want to make sure that you have your deep abdominals and pelvic floor engaged. You might want to be breathing into the side of the ribs because your abdominals are working hard, so you can't breathe that much into the abdominals. And you want to make sure that you've got a bit of a zip and hollow going on in your abdominals, pulling up from the pubic bone into the belly button and tightening the belt across the waist. When you're ready to stop, after 6 to 8 repetitions, pause. Don't bring both legs down at once. It's too much weight. The right leg first and the left. Right, this is the last exercise in the progression phase. In some ways it's the most difficult, so you really want to make sure you've established a thorough understanding of core connection and breathing before you start this. We're going to be holding a static position under some stress, working the arms, the upper body, the core, and the legs as well. It's called a half plank. Focus in particular on the breathing. Your abdominals will be working, so you want to be breathing into the side of your ribs as well as into the abdominals as you hold that static position. This is called the half plank. You're in the kneeling position, as described earlier, nice long neck, looking slightly ahead of you, little bit of tone in the abdominals, pulling the navel away from the floor, hands under shoulders, knees under hips. Tuck your toes. You're going to be using them for support, so your feet aren't stretched out long behind you. You've got your toes tucked. And now I simply keep my body shape and just raise the knees off the mat, 2 or 3 inches. It's not a big move, but it's a very strong exercise because you're now holding up your body weight in the palms of your hands and on the balls of your feet. Keep breathing. That's the most important bit. Count up to 5 and then bring the knees down to the mat. Breathe out as you lift up and then breathe in and out naturally and in a relaxed way while you hold the static position. Count to 5. And down. If 5 is too difficult, start at 3. Repeat 3 or 4 times, and then gradually, as you get stronger and build this up, you should be able to do this exercise 6 to 8 times. Thank you for taking part in our breathing and movements program. I'm sure you've enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed it. But of course, this is only the beginning of your movement journey. It's really important that you keep moving in order to stay healthy. Feel free to come back to this program at any time. You've found the links, you've done the exercises, and also click on the link below if you want to download our free ebook. Well done for having completed the program. Hope to see you here again.